Long ago, in Everidge County, there lived a young man named Daniel Cole, strong, thoughtful, and beloved by the townsfolk. Daniel was the only son of Mayor Harold Cole, a powerful man with a sharp tongue and 3 marriages behind him. Mayor Cole's first 2 wives gave him daughters and quietly left the picture. But his 3rd wife, Charlene, was something else beautiful, charming, and ambitious in all the wrong ways. She had no child of her own and saw Daniel not as a stepson, but as a threat to everything she wanted. Charlene had always watched Daniel from the corners of rooms, her wineglass full and her heart empty. One evening, she tried to seduce him in the shadows of the old manor. When he turned her down stern and clear, her pride shattered. She didn't cry that night. She plotted the fall. Not long after, her screams pierced the town like a tornado siren. Her dress torn, face streaked with tears, she accused Daniel of the unthinkable. "He forced himself on me," she sobbed. "Your own son." Mayor Cole's fury was instant. Blinded by shame, too proud to ask questions, he turned his back on the one person who had never betrayed him. "I don't want to see your face again, boy. Get out of this town, and don't ever come back." And just like that, Daniel was gone. No trial, no defense, no goodbye. Life in exile. Daniel walked for days, following old dirt roads into the deep woods of McKinley Forest, where no phone lines reached and the trees stood like silent judges. He built himself a small cabin near a quiet stream and lived off the land. Squirrels became his neighbors, the wind his only visitor. Years passed. Gone were the button-down shirts and polished boots. He wore flannel patched with leather, fished in the mornings, and carved stories into trees at night. The pain in his heart never fully left, but nature gave him peace, and the stars gave him space to breathe. Still, he was alone. Then came her. It was late autumn, during a rainstorm that shook the trees. Daniel, returning from a hunt, spotted someone curled beneath an oak tree, soaked to the bone, shivering, barely conscious. A girl. She looked barely out of high school. Mud on her jeans, a tangle of hair sticking to her cheeks, and eyes wide with fear. Her name was Emily Grace. She had gotten lost while trying to find rare herbs for her sick mother in a nearby county. Her phone had died. She'd gone days without food. Daniel carried her back to his cabin, gave her soup, a blanket, and his only dry shirt. At first, she barely spoke, but as the days passed, her laughter crept in like sunshine through the leaves. She helped him fix the fence, cook his meals, and tell stories beside the fire. What started as survival turned into something warmer. The love that grew. Weeks turned into months. Seasons rolled by like chapters in a book. Daniel and Emily built a life, not with fancy furniture or chandeliers, but with love in every board of the cabin, every loaf of bread, every glance across a steaming cup of coffee. They danced barefoot to old records, planted tomatoes in the spring, and carved initials into the old oak out back. One night, with the stars wide open above them, Daniel held her hands and whispered, "I lost everything when I left that town, but I found everything I ever needed in you." Eventually, 2 children came, a boy with Daniel's eyes and a girl with Emily's fire. Their cabin became a home full of noise, laughter, and muddy footprints on the porch. Yay, the truth comes home. Back in Everidge, Mayor Cole aged poorly. His empire shrank, his charm faded, and his dreams were haunted by a son he'd abandoned. Charlene, now pale and twitchy, clung to her lies like old pearls. But the town had changed, people whispered. The crops grew sour. The wind seemed heavier. After the mayor died, the town gathered for his memorial. That night, under the judgment of the townsfolk and the watchful gaze of the church steeple, Charlene finally broke. Tears poured as she confessed. "It was all a lie. I framed Daniel. I couldn't bear to be ignored." She was shunned and driven out of Everidge, her name carved into shame. The return of Daniel Cole. With heavy hearts and open hands, the town searched for their lost son. After weeks of looking, a few men crossed into the McKinley woods and found him chopping wood beside a cabin, 2 children playing tag in the yard, and Emily standing tall in the doorway. Daniel looked older, stronger, wiser, but his eyes still carried the calm of a man who had made peace with himself. They told him the truth, and this time, he listened. A new kind of king. Daniel returned to Everidge with revenge, but with grace. He took over where his father left off, not as a mayor in a fancy suit, but as a man who knew what it meant to lose and rebuild. Emily, the girl from the forest, stood by his side, not a trophy, not a stranger, but the woman who loved him before the world did. They turned the old manor into a school. They taught their children to forgive, but never forget. And every summer, they returned to that cabin in McKinley, where love first found its roots. At night, Daniel would sit on the porch, his daughter in his lap, and whisper to the trees, "They took everything from me, but these woods, they gave me her."